Hello, Smite fans. Welcome to what episode is it? Shit! Episode 13 of
Whoa,
the Gank Right
whoa,
Lane
whoa.
podcast. This week we're talking about the Summer Masters seeding tournament. We're going to be talking about who we think might be getting replaced after this tournament. A little bit of spicy drama, spicy. And then we're going to review this next season that's coming up. How are you doing today, John?
Good, man. I just hit the funny bone in my mouth, if that's a thing. But my whole mouth is like numb right now. So we'll see how this goes. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to quickly make sure I got the right episode number because it'd be really embarrassing if I still
I
got it
mean,
wrong.
it's got to be close, right? I'm
I
not
said
sure.
13, right? We're good.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I realized as I
Sure.
was doing it, I just forgot. We're leaving that, by the way. We're not even redoing it. Fuck it. We're doing it live.
You could have told me anything, I would have believed you. So
This is episode 476 of the Gank Right Lane podcast.
maybe not that much. That would have been a stretch.
Anything
If
within
if we
reason.
get to that much, we better be making money off this. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
If we're in the 400s, we're making money. Um. All right. Well, did you watch any games this weekend? Surely some of them.
I watched Leviathans Glass.
Is that it?
I think so.
When
I was
that?
working the first. I did not work the second, and I watched. I did not catch any of King's Hounds. I don't remember what I was doing. And then, let's see. I think I worked the third and the fourth as well. So
I mean, there were some good games. There's only one, game 5 series, which was
right,
the
the
most
finals,
important one.
the big one, yeah.
That's cool. But most of these felt like you knew who was going to win. I mean, once the games got going.
Yeah. I was gonna
Definitely not
miss.
from this.
I was gonna mention this at the top of the episode, but I forgot because I forgot the number. I want to let you know, John, that I've found a way. Okay. I gotta say anything else? Just know I found a way.
For what?
You'll find out.
What?
You'll find
Oh,
out.
I know. You're putting Ferryman 8th, aren't you?
We'll see. We'll see.
I knew it, man. I knew
I'm
it.
so
Okay. I don't know what
evil.
kind of mental gymnastics you're going to go through to get there, but
I don't know. Every team won a set this weekend that was in the tournament.
all right. How do you feel about that? I know there's a lot of people complaining. The teams who won on day one, the Gladiators and the Hounds, they won and then got sent back down to the losers bracket. On the first game, lost their second, and then lost again, so they're the first people out. How do you feel about the double elimination?
I think. Hear me out. I think this tournament, this mini tournament, was dumb. We were talking about this a bit before the pod. In Final Case sent out a tweet about this. Why is there a tournament to determine the seeding for a league which determines the seeding for a tournament which determines the seeding for a tournament?
Yeah.
Stop.
That's a little much. I feel like, and that should, at this point, we should have that lead into Masters or Worlds.
At this point, Masters, somebody should be eliminated. That is my opinion. There should be SPL teams that did poorly who are not in this tournament after this point.
Right.
If you're going to have 4 different fucking competitions that determine seeding for this shit, somebody's got to get eliminated.
Yeah, it just makes it seem like
just makes it seem like none of it matters.
Yeah, pointless. Nothing's happening.
And obviously it matters to the players because they get prize money for all this shit. But as a fan, why should I care about anything that's happened so far?
Not even a crazy amount. I mean, there's no. I remember for Worlds, I mean, every game mattered there, and it felt important to watch every single one live.
Right.
But for this, I'm like, if I want to sleep in or don't want to. It doesn't matter because that team's still going to be playing.
Right.
So it
And
just
I mean,
depends on
there's
where
so
they're at.
many better tournament formats they could have done. Like, what if they did the SCC playoffs, right? And they did it in a way where it's like the NA teams all face each other and the EU teams all face each other, and then that determines who was like the winner of the phase for each of the SCC leagues, and
Yeah.
then those winners get put into like an 8 team tournament with like all the bottom 6 SPL teams or something, and then
Mm.
like you get 6 teams out of that. So like basically you could have like
You just keep cutting it down.
right, like you have like a round of 8, and then the winners of that move on to the next round of the tournament, and then you take the 4 losers and do a losers bracket, and then have the 2 winners of that go through. So there's still a losers bracket, but there's at least people getting eliminated
Right.
instead of there being a losers bracket, and then they lose that and they're still in the fucking tournament, and then all the
I
winners
mean,
of that go on to the final 8.
I'm looking at the tournament
Like, I don't know, that's
setup,
just something I came up with on the top of my head. There's other better ways to do it as well.
how it is right now, and I mean it. I genuinely couldn't tell you if the seating mattered at all. Like, would I rather prefer to be in anyone's? I guess the only non-favorable position is the Gladiators have to play the Warriors, or they have to play in against a prelim winner against an SEC team, and then if they win, they play the Warriors.
Right.
But then everyone else is like,
Leviathans get Ferryman, who beat them earlier this year,
right?
and
I
the
mean,
Kings get the
yeah,
Dragons, who I don't think the Dragons beat the Kings. I think the Kings beat the Dragons. So
right. Yeah, I don't think the Dragons ever beat the Kings this year so
they
far.
only played once, I think.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it just like looking back, especially,
I
it's nice to watch more Smite, but just make the regular phase longer than or something.
right.
I don't know. Just this felt. I
It
do enjoy
feels
the best of 5 games.
pointless. I mean, they were fun sets because I saw stuff from other sets besides the one I watched. It was fun. It was fun Smite.
See adapting, flipping everyone off.
I did not.
He
In
ended
the
up getting.
Leviathans Gladiator set, I saw like there on one of the games. I think it was the first one. There was technical difficulty, so pauses kept coming up. And the second time
Ooh,
they
yeah.
paused, Final Case smiled and flipped everybody off. That was funny.
Yeah, to end the game 5, of Leviathan's Kings, the Variety actually made a really good play there. They had the Leviathans just knocked 2 Phoenixes down, and they all left out the doors to the King's base. And Variety was on Guan Yu, and he ran, and he got like a 4-man Guan Yu ult stun. And they insta-killed Shinto and Zatman off of it. And then Adapting turned around and got a quadra kill, and he did 7,000 damage in like 2.5 seconds. 7,000. And he got a quadra, and then
crazy.
almost got a pentakill, but dropped it. And then they ended up winning the game, and once they won, he stood up, flipped everyone off, and then sucked the air's penis. He did the air suck. I don't even know what you call that.
Right.
That was good. The good pop off at the end.
Yeah.
Another reason he's the GOAT. He's
I
my
love
GOAT.
the Leviathans, dude.
I know. They look like they're gonna be. I'm glad they're like back.
Yeah. I know
They
there was
were
no
looking.
chance this ever would have happened, but if this team had Stewart and Awesome Jake instead of Zapman and Wrong I would be coming.
What? Honestly, Zaphan popped off.
Yeah, but I've never been a huge Zapman fan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's not good, although I don't think he's that good anymore.
You just want your favorite
But
players.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying in terms of like I would be in love with this team if that's who was on it.
And you'd have to bring Panic out.
Especially Jake. I love me some Jake.
Yeah.
Final
Jake,
K
really
and
Jake.
Awesome Jake on the same team.
man.
Holy fuck.
That's crazy. Does it work out well together though?
Probably
Probably
not.
not. I'm gonna be
Us and
honest.
Jake might have found the one situation where it works out for him, and he's become the best player in the league in it. So
Yeah,
can't
I'm
complain.
not changing a thing if I'm him.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Uh, well,
The
um,
Ferryman lost to the fucking Glads, and it's
yeah, I
fucking
don't know. Okay,
hilarious.
no. So you didn't watch that one, did you?
Nope.
Surely not. Um, I picked Iksha for Paul. You know, whatever. That was her first competitive game, and she sucks. I mean, they literally could not win because of that pick. And yeah, I mean, you aren't safe. Your ult does almost zero damage. Has almost no point in its entirety. Um, so I'm like, surely that's the last time we see it all weekend. And then I think every single time she got picked, she lost.
Probably.
So
I just find it hilarious that Paul got diffed by fucking Snoopy.
yeah, that's true. Paul looked rough all tournament, but I say that as in we're used to Paul hard carrying every
Right.
single game, and he still hard carried some games, but he didn't hard carry every game. And it
Right.
was so. And it's not
I'm,
like he played bad. He just didn't. Yeah,
I'm going to say something.
absolutely.
This is going to sound very controversial,
I know.
but I think that Paul isn't the best player in the world anymore. Crazy, I know.
I mean, yeah, I
But
don't
I
think he's been considered the best for a while, right?
But like, you know what? Like people, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, Paul is like insane, and I don't know if he's insane anymore. I think he's just really good.
That's got to be crazy because I can't even take that. Are you for real? I mean, he's I think he still can be considered in the GOAT conversation. I think it's not. He's
I
more
mean,
like the.
of all
He's more
time,
like the.
yeah, but like
He's
right
more like the
now, I don't
Tim
think he's
Duncan.
playing like it anymore.
Oh no, not right now. I don't think he's. But he never is like your number one guy in the regular season. You know, he's always top. You know, top three in his role. Probably
I mean,
top.
I'd
You
argue
know,
he might be fourth right now, and that's with Sheen having a bad phase because he wasn't on land.
yeah, I think you can make that argument. Um, because what you have Venenu, BT,
Hang on.
Pagon, and Shinto. So I mean, you could.
I'm not saying he's
I think that's
bad.
crazy,
I'm not saying he's bad. I just
but
like maybe it's just because there's a lot of like top mids right now, but like of the top
mid's
mids,
just a
he's like
good
the worst
role.
one. You know?
That's even. Yeah, I can. I think a lot he does have. It's harder to play in mid when you don't have a jungle.
That's
You know,
true.
because that's
Sino
where a lot of your buff is.
fucking sucks.
He Paul would have had an extra at least 4 kills in the first 2 minutes of each game if Sino would hit his abilities. And that's what. Okay, now it's time for this. I'm ready for this rant. At the level, what he went 1-16 against the Dragons. Sino took combined like 1-16 in 4 games. I think it was. Maybe it was against the Gladiators. I can't remember. But at that level, you know everyone misses abilities. Um, I'm not expecting anyone to be perfect. But if you're playing at the highest competitive level, you are missing. I mean, he dropped there multiple kills in game deciding instances where he missed an ability just this weekend. And I mean, you can't do that. You know, Eh, that's something's got to change. He's either got to start hitting abilities or we got to get a new jungler in there.
Yeah, I don't know why he's in the league. I mean, I do know why he's in the league. It's because he popped off at Worlds. If you look
Right.
at everything he's done since season 5, I don't know why the fuck he's in the league. He played good for 3 sets.
Well, I think he was like the world's MVP too, wasn't he? No.
Like
Yeah.
season 5, like a long time ago.
Right. Yeah.
And then after that, he has not had a season where he's positive, other than season 8 where he like played 4 games.
Which I feel like going negative in jungle is difficult. I'm gonna be
Yes, I
honest.
think every jungle but him is positive right now.
Especially in this meta. I mean, I can see in a little tankier warrior metas it might be different, but right now,
Right.
I mean, each jungle is getting. Wait, let me find this stat. I mean, they're all top kills, besides him.
Right.
Kills are all jungle, 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 and then he is almost at the bottom of the list of kills. As jungle, when every other jungle is top 10.
Yeah.
He's very clearly underperforming, and I mean, if you want, we can go into players who are.
Do you want to go
Teams
ahead
that
and go
need
into that? You
replacement.
don't got anything else to say about the tournament?
I mean, it was pointless. It was a lot of what I expected. I'm
Right.
trying to think of if there was any show out. Yeah, Leviathans played good, like we thought they should have. Dragons also looked a little better, but they really didn't have a lot of competition.
Do we want to do power rankings before or after?
I mean, are you changing power rankings from last week?
Yeah.
You change power rankings throughout tournaments?
I think so.
We can do it after.
Okay.
Here's another one. Since we're already
I don't know
here.
about you, but to me, power rankings is who looks the best right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
who looks the best over the course of the entire season is called the standings. That's what the standings are for.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
My power rankings are always going to be very reactionary because if I want to talk about who's the best over the course of a long period of time, I click the standings button.
That's true.
You know, that's just my opinion on it.
I think you're very quick to place the ferryman at 8.
You don't know if that's what I'm doing, John. You don't know.
No,
Maybe I'm doing crazy. Maybe I'm doing something else crazy. All right. Anyways, let's see.
I think it's ridiculous, but yeah, that's
that
my
might not
first.
be what I'm doing. You don't know.
My very first call, and this is the only thing that I'm like begging for, is to get Sino out.
All right, hold on.
And
Here's
I was
what
gonna
I
say
wanted to do for this segment. Okay, I'm gonna have make a list real quick of a bunch of the players who might be on the chopping block, who underperformed last split and who haven't been playing great, and you're gonna tell me if you think they're gonna be replaced or not.
Okay, I want to start with this. I'll start by saying this. I don't think changes are going to happen soon. If anyone does, well, yeah, obviously not before the tournament. If anything gets changed, like the only realistic change would be a Sino replacement. I think anything else is going to take time, at least a little longer.
Right.
Maybe not, but I'll bring that up when we get there.
Alrighty. I think I've gone through all the teams and I got my quick list made.
How many people you got on there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh wow. Okay,
I mean, some of these are very much stretches, but I wanted to make a bit more content, so I made it a bit more.
All right.
All right. I wrote it down in just like in order of how when I came across the players. This is in no particular order. Just so we're clear. All right. First up, Zapman.
No, I do not think especially okay. So right now, Leviathans look good. You know, they dropped 2 games. They went 6-2. Especially coming into this, I guess depending on how they do the tournament, it is spring split Zap man, and so people expect him to underperform, and especially like times in the tournament. I mean, he just absolutely fragged. He dropped like 9 kills one game. In the tournament, I mean, he played really really well. So I don't foresee, especially you have someone who's won 3 world championships. That's not a coincidence,
Right.
He's got winning in his veins. I think
Right.
you'd be stupid to drop him.
Yes. After this little prelim tournament, I definitely agree. He looked pretty bad in the phase 1.
Right.
He might
And
have
I
been the
mean,
worst carry in the league, unless he was playing the Glads when he was the best player of all time.
right.
He was also negative
No,
last season. So, there's arguments to be made of it's like, oh, this isn't the same Zap man that won 3 world championships. He's washed now. But if they
he
thought that going
tweeted,
into the
but
season, they
everyone
wouldn't have picked
says
him up.
every single year at the beginning of the year, everyone says Zapman's washed, and then he ends up winning worlds at the end of the year. So
He didn't
I
last
mean,
year. They got knocked out in the first round last year with Zap
the
man.
first year in of the past 4 years. He's won. He's won every other time.
So it's been 2 years since he's done it now. I agree with you, but I'm just saying. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think they still have faith in him.
No,
I
I think
figured he's
that's
been one of the worst
ridiculous.
carries in the league. He's got to be on the watch list for it. But I don't think he's there yet. He'd have to play even worse for even longer, for sure.
Right, and I think you really can't get a good idea based on how they played as a team in the regular season. I mean, the whole team sucked.
I agree.
Besides adapting, that's the only person you can say in like the regular phase that did well.
Right. Sino.
Get him out. Get him out. Get him out.
All right. Who are you replacing him with? Who are they picking up to replace him?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume Sam fits that. I know I've talked about it before. I think Sam fits the comp. Well, I think it's harder to pick up. I think Jangaru's been putting up good stats as well. He's never played in the league before, and so it's a lot easier to pick up someone who has experience.
I would assume it's got to be Sam. I think even if they could snipe Kierme from the Glad, Sam's better fit.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that. Imagine the Ferryman team just with, if you put someone like Kierme, just someone who can at least carry their own weight and not be a cinder block sinking the team. If anyone who can just hold their own weight and you don't even have to pop off, like, just do what you're supposed to.
I think the problem with that is the type of style Kierme plays is try to pop off. And if he doesn't do that, he's going to be a cinder block, though.
But I mean, I think he still gets stuff done. I mean, it's better than
not as bad as Sino, but that's why I'm saying I think Sam would be better fit.
Right.
I think Kierme's best fit is on like a bottom half team, where like sometimes he's going to carry him to wins, but when he's not, well, they're probably going to lose anyways.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. If you put him on a team with Paul and Cyclone, I mean, these are 2 guys, and Baskin, these guys can do a lot of carrying in their own rights.
Right.
The games where Kierme is dropping 12 kills, that's just such a free win for you.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure who replacements would be in any of these situations, but I think Sino is the most realistic person to leave because he has been extremely underperforming.
Yes. Next up, Snoopy.
Honestly, I think he started out rough, very very rough. But I think he's looked better. I mean, there's been games where I don't know if necessarily carries his team, but is a shining star on his team in some games. I don't know. I think especially in
I would
the
just like to point out that he has less kills and more deaths than Sino.
that's impressive. But
He's
no,
also the only mid in the league to average less damage per game than their carry.
that's too bad.
Go Stu!
No, I think something, especially with the gladiators. There's always going to be that one team that's considered a little lower than every other one. I think this year it's clearly gladiators. It would be the scarabs of the past. I'm not saying they're bad. I think they're good. They're obviously competitive. They're beating teams. But I don't think teams like that really don't make changes unless they're getting their players picked off by higher teams.
Right.
And I think it's going to be the same way here. I mean, who are they going to grab? If anything, it's going to be an equal or a downgrade at this point. They have as much talent in the league right now as possible, I think.
Right. Gamma's shown sparks in the past. Maybe you pick him up and move him to mid.
In the mid?
Yep. Oh, Gamma was pretty
That's
good when he
wild.
was in the league.
And in mid?
No. But, oh, I'm just trying to come up with ideas on who would replace Snoopy. Realistically, it would be a rough Crimson. But he has not looked as good as he's looked in the past.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at his. I haven't watched any games of him play. And what? I mean, they're the wargs, right?
They are the
They're the Valkyries.
Valks.
They're the Valkyries.
Yes.
And didn't you say they were kind of like trolling every game?
Yeah, they were like fucking around. But I mean, he looked bad in the playing tournament as well, where they weren't fucking around.
Oh yeah. Where you're just trying to get a spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what's your better pick there? I think for the non necessarily contending teams at the time, you just stay where you're at. Stay in your own lane.
Right. I'm trying to look through some of the other SEC teams if there's any mids you could maybe consider grabbing. I haven't heard of like any other mids that are in
I think
NASC besides Panda Cat, who's obviously not coming to the SPL because if he wanted to play in the SPL, he'd be there.
right. I think it's having prior SPL experience is very important. A lot of people say it's almost like an entirely different game, and you can tell by watching as well. It's an entirely different game, and so I think taking a risk on someone, even though their numbers are looking better and they look like they're playing better, bringing someone up who's never done it before is a huge risk.
Right. Especially because there's not any mids that even necessarily look that great. Especially not in NASCC, which is a lot more likely to be able to get somebody from.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's definitely guys in EU SCC I feel like who could at least be vying for a spot in the SPL, but they don't want to move to America.
Right. That's the biggest factor, I guess, because there's still people who haven't made it in the SPL already. I mean, they'd be here by worlds, if you were picking up a player right now.
Right. Yeah, I feel like if Snoopy got replaced, a rough Crimson would have to be doing better than what I've heard about, because I haven't heard anything about him doing necessarily good, or it would have to be somebody outside of mid getting picked up and switching to mid.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
No, yeah. It's just too much of a risk there.
All right. Next up, Scary D.
I mean, again, I'm just going to lightly go over this. I don't think any of the bottom teams are going to be changing anything.
All right.
I mean, you could But then Scary D also had good games. Every time they win, Scary D has good
Right.
games. You know.
There is a little bit of a difference here from Snoopy because Scary D was definitely better than Snoopy this phase, but there's nobody below Snoopy who could come up and replace him.
Yeah.
At least in the SCC, there is Aquarius who could come
Right.
up and take that spot.
Yeah, there's definitely people, and I mean, like Aquarius is in. I assume they're in Atlanta as well. So I mean,
Or
that
what?
would be a. I'd assume they're in Atlanta. You have to live in Atlanta, or the studio's in Atlanta, and so
Right.
if you live in Atlanta, um, that's where all the SPL players live in or around. I'm assuming.
Right. And I'm gonna just basically, I had the inbound on the list as well. I'm gonna go ahead and lump him in with Scary D
Yeah.
because it's the same situation except Gamma
Yeah.
instead of Aquarius.
Exactly. I mean, you can make an argument. Yeah, the whole Gladiators team can get replaced. I mean, obviously you have your Stewart, whatever. You could say the whole Gladiators team can get replaced, but then, what's the point? They're the bottom team. Obviously, they're not going to look the best. But I think if you take the Wardens and you put them in this situation, I think they're a bottom team as well.
Right.
Or the Valkyries. So,
Yeah.
it's just
Speculation. Testiculation.
testiculation.
No, that's
I always used to get
speculation.
spectacle and testicle mixed up all the time. And so I remember we had this worksheet in like 5th grade. What's the word for the glasses?
Spectacle.
Is it spectacle?
No, it's not spectacle. I don't know.
No. The spectacle is like something amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it said some word, and I swore it was testicle, and I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. I'm in 5th grade, and this paper says testicle. It was talking about balls, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
That rant is over. Next one,
Anyways,
please.
next up, Captain Twig.
This is my one right here. I think I would not even suggest changing this guy. I think saying that you would switch Captain Twig for any other jungler is a crime at this point. Any available jungler is a
Obviously.
crime.
If you were like, hey, we can get Panatom, I think you'd take that.
Yeah, right. I don't think you're switching him. People are saying he has bad games. I mean, he does. Everyone does, Everyone's got bad games. And, I mean, he's still ending up positive. I will say that. And I think his good games definitely offset his bad ones as well. I mean, some of these games he's like hard carrying throughout the early, to get him to the late game where Yarkor and Big Man teams do their shit. So I just don't see, especially, I mean, in this tournament I think he played really well.
I agree.
I think might have had,
if there was any consideration amongst the rest of the Kings for getting rid of him, it's all gone after the tournament.
Yeah. I think he's not necessarily doing great. I'm not saying he's doing great, but I think there's no shot you consider getting rid of him. Personally.
Fair enough.
I'm guessing the other Kings player you have.
How'd you know I had another Kings player, you dirty dog?
I can see your screen.
Oh, fuck. I'm screen sharing on shit.
Yeah.
Variety.
No, it's variety. Yeah, dude, he just looked bad. He just does things that you don't need to do. What? I mean, there was multiple times where it's like, oh, what? I just watched it in the game 5. Twig was up 2-0. The only 2 kills in the game were on Twig. He's up 2-0. They were both on fine okay. And so Variety was up like a level or 2 at that point. And on the second kill, I think he comes in, gets the second kill, and then adapting was like coming in to rotate in on it. And they kill Fine OK, and instead of just leaving, Variety just walks at walks at adapting and gets eaten. I mean, he just literally just walked at him. If he turned and walked any other direction, he's out there. And so he just gave up that whole lead. That Twig had got him. And then, I mean, there was like 3 other times he just got picked during that game, where it was super unnecessary and put his team in a bad spot.
Looking at the stats, it looks like he needs to play exclusively tier and nobody else.
Yeah.
It looks like he played pretty well in tier, and those are the 2 games against the Leviathans that the Kings won, was when he played tier.
Yeah, he needs I don't know, retire.
I agree. He's probably, since there's no way to replace Snoopy, I think he's probably next on the chopping block after Sino.
After Sino?
Yeah, I think it's Sino and
then. I think it's definitely Sino than Variety, and Variety's a close. I don't think Variety's playing nearly as bad as Sino is, but he's a close second, just because this Kings team should be like a real contender.
I mean, I think you could say that about this Ferryman team.
Right. Yeah, I think my only difference there is that this Ferryman team has just been conceived. They're very new, and so you can expect some rough times. But I mean, this Kings team literally just swept the entire Worlds,
right?
And then is coming back and doing this.
Yeah.
I think I really like, and here's my spicy pick for who's filling in for him. And I know there's got to be some sort of bias going on here, but I think you could argue a Julio or even a Deathwalker pick up there.
Deathwalker doesn't want to come to North America. That's why he was playing for Hex Mom.
He was saying that was the most fun he's had on a team with those guys, and since that whole team broke up, he said he would only go to SPL if that whole team would come to SPL. And since that team broke up, I'm thinking maybe he thinks differently. All the Camelot Kings besides Yarkor are all EU guys, and I'm sure he's played with some of them. I think he's played with some of them before. That's probably not true, but actually I think it's definitely not true. But I can see him fitting in well, and he plays more of like a setup support type solo laner. He just coasts throughout the early and mid game. You don't really need to. He's not going to get behind. But you don't have to like worry about him either. You don't have to camp your jungler over there.
Right.
So I think he fits what they need because he's on the Mambo right now.
Gotcha.
And then Julio, I'm guessing, is just the best solo in the league.
Yeah.
In EU anyway. So that would be
happened? He was on Leviathans for a while, a couple years ago. What happened with that? Because I don't remember.
He told someone he was going to. I don't know if I can say it. Blow up someone's house, except he used like the thing that blows up.
Gotcha.
He put that in chat, and then got suspended for like a year. So
yeah. So both top EU solo laners have problems with being toxic, is what you're telling me.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't think they'd be willing to do it for Aquarius if neither of those guys would come over?
I mean, I'm sure they would. Like, I'm sure you're taking anything at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not the best. I'm not the biggest Aquarius fan. Especially, I don't know if he fits in the team well. Like, is the synergy enough? I don't know. But
Deathwalker, I don't know. He might be a good fit if he's willing to come over. His
Right.
SEC team is kind of garbage, so that's my only concern. Because
Yeah.
he's in the
I mean,
SEC right now, and while it's not his fault, his team is playing poorly. You know.
yeah, and that's even more of a reason I think he's not playing well over there. New team that he might not necessarily want to be on. Why not?
Yeah.
Pick him up. I mean,
I'd
it's got to be
never
better
even
than
consider that. That's interesting.
it's got to be better than Variety right now. Is all I mean. I hate. I feel bad for like constantly talking bad about him, but he's underperforming so hard, and I think a lot of
But
the reason
he's
this team's
constantly
losing.
been bad.
Yeah, and it's time for the reckoning.
Do, do, do.
Big not
Been in the
Variety
league
fan,
since
right?
season 1. It might be his time to get put down.
I've seen highlights where he's like hard carried games, rat solo,
Right.
hard carried sets, and now look at him.
All right, hear me
He's getting
out.
old, man.
I just had a brain blast. Hear me out. Okay. Variety gets
Yeah.
replaced on the Kings, becomes the Gladiators' new mid laner.
Think you're wrong.
All right, hear me out though. Instead of that, Scary D has already changed roles from jungle to or from solo to jungle back to solo. Put him in mid and Variety at solo.
If I know SOT's been wanting to play mid, if they weren't the best team of all time, I would find some sort of way to get him one of the solo laners taking his spot and him switching to mid for a team. But because this is one of the greatest teams to grace Smite, there's no chance that happens.
Yeah. All right, next up. I'm almost 100% certain you're going to say no on these last two, so probably shouldn't have saved them for last, but whatever. Next up is vote.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. The Dragons looked decent. And at this point, I don't think you're ever gonna split up, vote Dardes and Nika.
Right. That's why it's
I mean,
definitely.
you've gone this far. Why would they? They're starting to look better anyway. It's a new team. Give it time to marinate or whatever. To squelch together. Yeah, I mean, he didn't look horrible throughout the regular season. I mean, he didn't look good. But there's definitely worse carries even, than him in the regular season. So yeah, I think that's one. Any of the more bottom teams are gonna ride it out, especially like the new ones.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So what is this
the
last one?
thing is you. I'll give you the last one second. You keep saying like the bad teams in the past didn't really change people unless somebody on their team got picked. The problem is they never really had a chance to replace people other than when their team was getting picked because they were getting their teams changed so often.
All the time.
Yeah. Like how many? I wonder what the longest stretch of games the Scarabs had the same roster for in a row was. I can't
It
imagine it was
wasn't
more
long.
than
It
like
wasn't long.
10 at most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the last one is Dardes. So basically
Yeah,
all the
that's what I
ones you just
figured it
said.
would be. Yeah, I don't think. I think the only two realistic people that could be switched out are Variety and Sino.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What's something absurd I can say to end this segment as we transition to power rankings? Hold on, hold on, hold on,
Um,
hold on. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Hold on.
insane.
All right, I got it. I think I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hear me out.
Hmm?
Okay.
I'm
Cyclone
listening.
back to solo. Baskin to mid. They kick out Paul and replace him with Stewart. All right, on to power rankings. Here we go.
What? Yeah, let's ignore that part. Okay.
I said it
I'm
was
gonna act like
supposed to
you're
be as
nervous.
absurd as possible.
That was. I mean, I think you could have got a little crazier, but
How much crazier could I have gone?
I mean, you could say all of the people
Awesome Jake gets replaced with Gamma. Awesome Jake gets
Rocket League,
replaced with Inbound.
all the Rocket League professional players come over and say we're playing Smite, and then drive their cars around on the battleground of the gods and
Okay,
score goals.
like absurd in terms of like the teams changing.
Right. Oh, that's fair.
All
That's
right,
fair.
let me figure out my
Yeah.
order here because I actually don't have
Okay.
it.
Can we leave Ravens Warriors out, or are you
Yeah,
moving
Warriors and
them?
Ravens. I'm assuming you still have them as a 1-2.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just do 3 through 8.
All right. Looking at this. This is tough, man. I mean,
I think I have mine. I have thought about it a little bit. There's one thing I'm trying to figure out which order I want.
you could genuinely place the ferryman at 8, if like the way I'm looking at it here. I don't think that's out of. I don't think it's correct.
You don't think I'm out of line if I do that?
Yeah, I don't. I think it's. I think you could support that statement. Okay. Getting them down. Do you want to take this first, or I can just bat them off the top of my head?
All right, yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, I have Glass at 3. No, I'm kidding. That's not what I'm doing.
Wild.
That'd be funny though if I did do that. I'm gonna go Levi's at 3 because they won the whole thing. I thought about not doing it because they barely beat the Kings, who haven't looked the best in recent times, and their other one was against the Gladiators, who suck. But if I don't
Yeah.
put the Levi's here, I don't really know who else to put here.
Yeah, I don't think you could put anyone else
And
there.
then I think
I mean, Leviathans genuinely look good too. It's not just that they just looked good overall.
that's true. I think I'm gonna do Kings 4.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go Dragons 5. And then the Hounds beat the Dragons, but the Dragons beat the Ferrymen, but the Ferrymen beat the Hounds, so there's a bit of a circle here. So it's kind of
Yeah,
hard
but
to
the
figure out which
Ferryman
one goes
lost the
where.
Glads.
The
The
Ferrymen
Dragons
lost to
beat
the
the Glads.
Glads,
It's a whole big
but the Hounds lost to the Ferrymen.
Exactly. The whole thing
The
it just
Dragons
goes
beat the
over.
Glads though, so Dragons definitely have to be above Ferrymen. I think I
Right.
got Hounds
Well,
at
the Dragons just
6.
straight up beat the Ferryman as well. With Hounds at 6.
Yes. And then we just got the Glads and the Ferrymen left, and you know who beat the Ferrymen? The Glads. So I got Glads at 7, Ferrymen at 8.
I figured.
I've done it!
That's how
Playable
I saw
plan is
that.
complete!
I was looking at it and I was like, surely that's how he. I mean, the Ferrymen lose the Dragons. The only thing that was preventing me is the fact that the Hounds beat the Dragons. And so I'm like, then where do you do that? But the Dragons beat the Glads and the Glads beat the Ferrymen. So leaving the Hounds out. Ferrymen are just at the end of that one. I don't know. Overall gameplay, it's see. I want to put the Ferrymen above the Gladiators, but I just can't.
What? Well, I know the Gladiators beat the Ferrymen, and I did it because I hate the Ferrymen. is kind of crazy that you're gonna put the Glads above the Ferryman.
I mean, I don't. It's tough because it's like I don't know. That's just the way. I don't think the Ferrymen are playing well. I mean, they
You have
stopped the
Ferryman at
Hounds.
8.
Okay, let me do this. Let me go Glad 6,
Glad
Ferryman
6.
7.
You have Glads above
Yeah,
Hounds and Ferryman.
yeah, yeah. I think that's the most realistic thing is putting Hounds last.
They beat the
I
Dragons.
think yeah, and then lost the Ferryman.
Yes, but I don't think that's because they're worse than the Ferryman. I think the Ferryman have the Hounds figured out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
no,
think
that's
it's a
true.
bunch of vets who are looking at a bunch of rookies and going, all right, here's how we beat down on this bunch of rookies.
Right. I mean, but
I'll
doesn't
put it
that
this
make
way:
them
I
better?
think the Hounds would beat the Glads. So
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think they would as well. That's why I don't know the bottom three here. I mean, even the
so
bottom
do
four.
you have Levi's Kings Dragons then?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was my top. Sorry, I guess I missed that part.
Or I didn't hear it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just kind of assumed that into
This man
place.
hates Vaporish Coast.
Oh, I'm the biggest Big West Coast
No,
fan. I love the
he put his
Hounds, man.
team at 8th. You're a Vaporish Coast hater.
That doesn't mean I don't like the team. That's how I'm ranking them
I
based
mean,
on
you're
play
a
this
hater,
weekend.
sir.
Based on the play from this weekend. This is what I've deciphered.
How
I
did
don't
Coast
know.
play in this
Surely
tournament?
that can't be. Surely Hounds can't be 8, man.
I will say, to be fair, Coast played fucking awful in this tournament.
Didn't play great.
23, 34, and 52 is pretty bad. I think the Hounds will bounce back. I think it was a bad weekend for them, and they still got
Yeah,
a
it
win over
happens.
the Dragons during their bad weekend. So
I think hopefully Coast will be back in studio.
yeah.
Maybe.
PBM
So,
started playing actual supports, and his team started doing well.
started winning, right?
Yeah,
Crazy how it works. Also, Dardes was back, and that seemed to help a little bit.
yeah.
Being
He did
in.
play better than he played during the phase.
Right. I don't know if you saw too, but the Dragons Ferryman game. Um, Dragons won 3-1. Hell was picked in all 4 games. Hell was picked in all 4 games and went 0-4.
That's funny. Who did the hell
That's
go
crazy.
to?
I think it
Paul?
went It went to Dardes in the game the Dragons lost,
And it went to Paul
and then
for
it
the
was
other
like
ones.
it went Paul twice, and then maybe
I have it pulled up. It went Paul all 3 times.
it went Paul all 3.
Yep.
See, I was thinking he played something different for some reason. I feel like at that point, if you've lost 2 on him, maybe switch it. But I will say it wasn't his. That first game they lost was on him. He had just a bad hell build. I don't know what he was doing there. It was like triple defense.
In the
I
first
don't
game,
know.
he had Pendulum of Ages, Divine Ruin, Spirit Robe, Breastplate of Regrowth, Soul Reaver, and then he didn't have his last item finished, but it was the tier 1 of like Spear of Deso.
So a bit of a sitting shard.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
every time after that, instead of building Spirit Robe, he built Breastplate 1 earlier and then threw a Ratatouille in there.
right, which is, I mean, I feel like how it should be.
Alright.
Just an odd thinking. I think, yeah, he threw that because he didn't have enough damage, and then the rest. He looked fine, but it wasn't
But they
great
had
by any means.
Sino, so it doesn't matter what he did.
Right. I mean, where are you seeing this at? The stats for this? Because every time I try to look at these
Uh,
stats, it says they're not available.
So what I did is I went and clicked on Paul and went to his profile and looked at his recent games
Mm.
because I figured
Okay.
it was going to be him for at least a couple of them, so I could find at least a couple of them on him, and then I saw all 3.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, what are I can say
Maybe the
dragons
best
here?
Hell player of all time, after all.
What is this? 12. Yeah, 1-16 against the dragons. Sino went. That's crazy.
Rad.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he didn't get a single kill on the E set, but he's winning on it. It's because he's not feeding on it. I don't know.
It's because Paul wasn't Hell. Had
Right.
literally nothing to do with Sino. It was because Paul didn't play Hell that game.
Oh, who was he on? Was it Morgan Buffet?
Hebo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm very surprised they even anyone let Paul have Hebo.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, I don't think I'm gonna like confirm these rankings.
Right. You don't want to lock him
The
in.
bottom three, yeah, the bottom
It's
three are
kind of
cool.
weird to do power rankings after just this tournament, but at the same time,
Right.
it's power rankings are good content. So
Sure. All right. We have that then.
then we're looking at the Season of
I mean,
Souls.
Season of Souls new update. I mean, this is just what a closer look.
Yeah. They don't
I mean,
have
I think they
patch
come
notes or
out
anything.
with patch notes will come out tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. So why do they always do it a day after? We need to start doing this on Thursdays or something.
Yeah.
But
We both work, don't we?
no, I don't.
No, you used to. When we
Thursdays.
set up Wednesday as the
When we
time, you
started
worked
this,
Thursday.
I worked. Right. Yeah, I mean it works
Now
out. We
I
just
work
cover it next
Thursdays.
week.
So.
But yeah, that'll be out tomorrow. I'm planning on watching that whole thing. So not really. I'll look through the patch notes.
They're bringing back
Really just kind
Witchblade
of.
in the form of a glyph for Relic Dagger.
Oh yeah.
That's the most important thing. I'm
I know
skipping
you're
from Years of
excited about
Bottoms to
that.
talk about that.
Right.
Fuck yeah, Witchblade's back, baby. Woo!
It's really fine.
Yes.
There's a lot of like big shifts as well. I mean,
I'll give you a big shit. Oh, you said shift.
what the hell? You remember when the Season of Hope first started and there was like they changed like everything?
Yeah, and it was
I mean, this
bad.
is just gonna be the same. This is just gonna be the same. They're gonna change a ton all at once. They're adding new items.
I hope it's better.
New,
There's
what new
these soul
glyphs?
surges, which
Yeah,
is
we're
an enemy
yes.
dies, and then a thing comes on the ground, and the minions spawn out of it and give gold and XP. And
But
you
anyone can
also,
kill him, right?
I
Is what
think
I'm
so. I don't know though.
seeing. So it's just like you fight over these. Okay, wait. Maybe I'm starting to like this because that I guess rewards you for, a lot of people were complaining. You're in the, you're jungling, you're 10-0, and you're only like 2 levels up, 1 or 2 levels up. You're 10-0. The other jungler's like 0-3. You've got a level or two, and then they kill you one time, and then they're ahead. And so I guess that gives more of a, if you're killing someone and then able to collect the golden XP from these minions that come out of this afterwards,
Yeah,
that
or if
gives you,
you're ahead and rotating, you can kill somebody and be like, "Hey, person that's behind, I got a kill for you.
right.
Farm these minions."
Yeah. Um, I'm having a big AoE after every death. I'm sure it functions different than I'm thinking, but it just doesn't seem, it seems odd.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm a fan.
it seems like
But we'll see.
most
I mean,
people are kind of meh about it. I'm
yeah.
down to see how it works, but I really hope this is only a one season thing.
I mean, that's what I thought about the trebuchets whenever they added those. I was like, that really doesn't sound. I don't know how I feel about that. But then I loved them. Those are awesome.
Right, those were fun. They should really just have brought those back instead of doing what they
The
do.
the trebuchets could have been something they left in the game. I enjoyed those.
So maybe I'll change my mind once I play with this, but it seems really gimmicky, you know.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
trebuchets don't seem as gimmicky as this does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it'll be more. I mean, I'm sure it'll be. I don't know. Useful. It'll make more sense.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to
That's really
judge too much.
test
With
out.
I mean, the entire point of podcasts is to judge things, but it's hard
Right.
to judge too much before we've actually
Yeah.
gotten our hands on it ourselves.
Right.
We're just looking at some words on a page and going, I don't like what those words say. Then there's two new events basically. There's the Stygian Beacon. Is that how you pronounce it? Stygian?
Oh, Stygian. Yeah, Stygian.
Sure. It's King of the Hill. They made King of the Hill. It happens 3 times. If you are the king of the hill, your team gain a permanent stacking buff that increases their damage dealt to enemy towers, phoenixes, and the Titan. So you siege better. Oh, and you get
Yeah.
more team-wide golden XP. So if
That'll
you
be
want it.
nice, just because the whole.
Teleport glyph is going to be really strong in solo because when it's about to spawn, you can TP over and be
Right.
there
I mean,
for
that's
it.
the same with Gold Fury. I mean, that's what people do for Gold. You just teleport over,
I mean, I guess that's true.
or walk over. You know,
I need
you
to
just
start doing that.
be where that is when it comes up. You know, when your
Right.
objectives are up, be around them, type thing. Um. Yeah. I mean, sieging is like a really. It's really hard right now. You can tell by watching the SPL teams. You can just pick like one good mage and sit back, and it's almost impossible for the other team to siege. Um, it makes it really hard. It's really inconsistent for even every team, and so this will help make that a little easier. You know, you're not having 40-minute fight, or 40-minute games, 50-minute games where one team is just sitting under Titan all game,
Right.
waiting to win. I mean, the game. I think it was. Oh gosh, yeah, the Hounds Kings. I think it was. It was 1-1, and the Hounds were like in control of game 3. They had 3 Phoenixes down for like almost 30 minutes. They had them down for like 25 minutes. 3 Phoenixes down. They just couldn't get in the base because they had so much AoE and
Right.
damage back there, and so it just made it almost impossible. But hopefully, this will help out
Yeah.
a little bit. But the other thing, the next part, I don't like.
Unleash Titans.
I don't like that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, they're basically a stronger siege juggernaut that happens once a game.
Yeah, except it's the actual Titan that runs down. So whenever that's out, you can't go end the game. You have to kill that first and then go end the game.
Yeah.
It's just odd to
Can't
me.
backdoor while it's out, which is pretty annoying. Because
I
that'd
mean,
definitely be what I would do. I'd be like, hey, the rest of the team, there's a big fight over at where these siege juggernauts are meeting. You guys all go over there. I'll go backdoor.
right?
That's what I would
Yeah,
do if I ever played carry.
I mean, I guess it promotes team fighting a little more.
Right. It promotes it
But I
once a
mean,
game.
there's people that just still won't do it. A structure is this? Yeah, is this a one-time thing?
Yeah, it's once per game, yeah.
Okay.
It's after the third and final Stygian Beacon, so unless those reset, then it only happens once a game. But it says the Stygian Beacon's
The
only
way I'm
happened
reading
3
it,
times
it's
a
only
month.
one time.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure it'll be more practical than it seems, but just as it's reading
Right.
on the page, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Phoenixes will be easier to kill. Shutdown bonuses decrease in value. Okay, that's good. The catch-up camps chests decreased. Buffs increase value. Fire giant timers changed. Travel times between lanes and camps.
Yep. Mid is going to be slightly closer to solo. So that should incentivize more solos rotating.
The beacon spawns on duo side of the map.
Yep.
Yeah, that might make solo a little more impactful.
Maybe.
Throughout the game. Hopefully.
I would rather them just make the laning phase where two solos beat the shit out of each other fun again. That's what I want. I just want the solo lane from
Each
season
other.
9 back instead of it being like I don't even know what even when solos were good at the beginning of the season with like their strong items, like when Archer's Fury was good at the beginning of the season. Solo lane still wasn't as fun as it was in season 9. There's just something about the way they changed the lane that's made it not as fun.
Yeah. It seems it's just too big for two people over there. Like either make it slimmer or shorter, or a combination of the two. But just something that's not what it is now. There's too much space for two melee. I mean, most of the time,
right?
Melee character. There's no point in that.
Yeah. They're reducing a bunch of stats on items.
Yeah, just the whole shift to everything.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It'll negate the power creep.
Right. Which we've had discussions on this podcast on how to fix power creep in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going my route, which is to make all the items only have 2 stats each. And make all the stats the same across the items effectively.
Rework the entire game, yeah. I'm glad they're not doing that.
Yes.
But
make it an entirely new game.
I'm sure. I think a lot of gods are getting changed as well. I'm sure a lot of items, a lot of gods. I feel like I read that somewhere. Nearly every single tier 3 item in the game is going to get changed. And roughly 35 gods are getting utility focus buffs.
You know what's not going to get nerfed from this? Well, I say that its passive might get nerfed. Odibo's not really going to get nerfed from this. The attack speed stuff isn't going down, and it's only set as attack speed.
Yeah, it doesn't have power on it at all, does it?
Odibo might be insane in this patch.
I think I'm looking at it real quick. I think it scales off your power. I think the item proc scales off your power though.
Okay.
But I mean, still, I don't think that would change at all, right? I don't know.
The percentage might not change, but there's going to be less power to go around, so it'll do less damage.
Right.
So is everything else. So.
Yeah, plus 60% of your total basic attack power. But yeah, just the flat item in general only has attack speed, so that would be. And that item's honestly good right now.
Yeah. It's not going to be like Crusher, where it has a passive that's based off power and also it has power, so it's getting double nerfed.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't think everything's getting scaled back the same, except for they said they're going to scale back items that need nerfed more.
Right.
No. So.
Yeah, and items that need buffs, they're going to scale back and then give them different buffs.
Yeah.
Which hopefully means that, like, instead of scaling it back by 30% power, they scale it back by, like, 25. And not that they add attack speed to Gym of Isolation or some shit.
I think that's a good idea.
That's totally something they would do. They would just be like, oh, here's a bad item, here's another stat on it for no reason.
Throw a crit on it?
Fuck. It's a magical item. I hope not.
Crit on it. I don't care.
Honestly, it'd get built if that's what they did.
Let's see if I burst.
Hopefully this gets rid of the burst meta. because that's the items that are going to be impacted the most. I think.
See, I like burst. That's how I like to play.
I don't like this burst meta though.
I
Everybody's
don't
dying
know.
too fast, including tanks.
See, I late game. I don't know. I think it feels all right.
Well, I
But
disagree.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people would disagree with me on that one. I don't know. I'm just a fan of the
Usually
game
dirty
in
jungle
general.
main. Us solo mains need some help over here.
I know, you're right. Increase late
Watch,
game time to
based on the
kill.
way protections work, somehow this is actually a bigger nerf to tanks and nobody realizes it than it is to damage.
Probably.
Even though it's only
Yeah.
15% compared to 30, because the protections work different than damage, this is somehow going to be a nerf to tanks.
Tanks are going to
If that
come out of this
happens, I'm going to rip my
horribly.
dick off.
Surely not, right?
Surely not.
Huh? Huh? I think that just about.
New
I'm not seeing
glyphs, we
anything
already
else.
talked about one of them.
Relic Dagger has some. Runeforge is getting one. They said all of these are. Oh, well, yeah, I guess these are the only three, so.
Yeah.
They're all tank based,
Yeah.
which helps. I
Runeforge
don't
can
know
be
how I
built
feel
by
about
like
the
a jungler.
Runeforge.
Yeah, who builds Runeforge?
Oh, one.
I
There's
feel like
no way,
there's
right?
not. I'm still not going to build Runeforge unless it's the best clip in the game.
Yeah, it's gotta have some sort of crazy. Okay, rune breaking. I don't know what that'll do. Flame, that might leave like a dot effect on someone.
When you hit,
I don't know. I mean,
how does Runeforge
they're
proc when you hit a CC or something?
yeah. If the enemy CC'd, it like reduces their protections or
Make it so when
increases your
that happens,
damage.
they get caught on fire. That's what it's going to do.
Yeah, that's something like that. But yeah, I'm excited. It all comes out tomorrow.
Mage ADC item buffs.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's not good.
As long as
And
they don't buff it
that's
too much, I'm fine with it. Mage ADCs need a little help. Like,
my
I don't
my
want them to be meta,
least.
but like the intersect made a tier
No, I
list
don't
of
want him to
what.
be in the game.
Why
What,
not?
what did he? What did he do? I'm just not a fan though.
Intersect made a tier list where he interviewed all of the. No, I guess not interview. He sent a thing to all the pro players and was like, power rank the gods in this tier list. Put all the gods in the tier list, and
Oh,
three of the four magical ADCs were three of the bottom four gods,
yeah.
according to pro players.
I mean, that makes sense.
The other
But
one,
I
by the way, was Jormungandr. And the ADC who wasn't bottom four was Kronos.
really.
Yep.
So what? Frail will run Soul?
Yep.
I'm surprised Soul's even that low because I feel like she's decent early. But yeah, their items suck. Hmm.
It's probably because the items suck. I feel like Kronos can get around that a little bit though, because he can kind of just still play like a mid laner.
Yeah, you
I
can
feel
just
like
build
he's
them
not
full.
as forced into magical ADC as some of these other
I mean,
gods.
Soul as well with her passive. You can
Right.
build just a straight up mid lane and
Yeah,
do
you also
fine.
have to remember this was pro players, so they probably have a bit of a different perspective on it than we do. Because
Right.
Jormungandr was also in the bottom four. Jormungandr in Masters has the second highest win rate in ranked right now.
Really?
Yep. Guess who's
That's
ahead of it?
insane. I feel like I know this. Is it what class? Give me a roll.
Mage. Also, this is probably going to be a big hint, but class and
So
role different
Alquan.
things.
So it's Alquan.
It's not Alquan.
Nox?
It's not Knox. You're on the right track.
Oh, is it Afro?
It's Afro.
It is Afro?
It's Afro.
I played a rank game this morning, and my mid laner was a purple border Afro. She sucked. I'm gonna be real with you.
There was a person who me, Miller, and Hunter played against one of the nights you weren't on, and they were super fucking toxic. Yesterday on Reddit, they made a post complaining about their teammates, and it was in a
Is it you
different game,
guys?
but it wasn't us. It was in a different game. It was a ranked game, and they had an Aphrodite carry. And I was like, that's what you get for being a toxic bitch. Because they were very fucking toxic the whole game
Wait,
we
so
were with them. And I was like, that is such tasty karma.
you recognize him in Smite and
Okay,
in...
he was very, very fucking toxic for one. And then we played against him the next game. That's the only reason I remembered his name.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's... A lot of people deserve that. The
Hitler deserves
that
that.
teammates can lose. Wow.
Hitler deserves to be forced to play with an Afro carry.
That's extreme, but yeah, you're probably right. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy.
You know what I bet Hitler wouldn't do?
What?
Gank right lane!